Why did Kia again choose to join the community of global growth companies of the World Economic Forum?
Well, Rodolfo, when we heard that the World Economic Forum was organizing a conference around the theme of growth, we thought this was such an intriguing topic, as in a globalizing economy, growth is increasingly important and the opportunities for growth are increasing. And the chance to talk to other companies about that topic, we thought could be very interesting, and we didn't regret it. It was definitely an extremely enlightening experience.
Great. Now, as a partner of the community of global growth companies, what are you expecting when you go to Tianjin later this year in September as CEO of Kia again?
Well, what I learned in Dalian, and I'm sure we'll experience increasingly going forward, is that the interaction with other companies that are also experiencing growth, regardless of the industry, regardless of the background, can give rise to a lot of new ideas on how to be even more successful going forward and also see things differently. And this is an experience that I've never seen before at any other convention or conference, and truly unique, and I'm looking forward to experience it again in September.
Why did you join the forum's community of global growth companies?
As one of the newest airlines in the world, and ourselves an extremely fast-moving and growing company, we considered it a great opportunity to meet like-minded organizations, to understand the challenges we face in a global market, at the same time to interact with other global players to understand the dynamics of a changing world, of a changing consumer, and a world in which we meet so many challenges, whether it be business, whether it be social, whether it be terrorism related. And an event like this enables one to sit back, reflect, and really, without your own business, take a view of other organizations meet these challenges. So to be involved certainly helps us in determining future strategies and at the same time potential partnerships as we move forward.
Great. And as a partner of the communities of global growth companies, what is it that you see the value in Tianjin and our annual meeting of new champions?
Quite frankly, it's culture. It's business culture, bringing organizations and people together. The world is changing. The rules of business are different, but we are becoming global. So that opportunity to interact, to understand how one maneuvers, and quite frankly, the listening, the learning, the understanding, and of course the networking.
Why did you join the forum's community of global growth companies?
Well, I've been lucky enough in a previous role to be part of the main Davos meeting, and I'd seen the interest that was being stimulated in what growth companies were doing, the fact that they were bringing new insights to the world as well as growth to the world. And when I changed to becoming chairman of a growth financial services business, a smaller company but a growth company, I was thrilled to be able to keep my contact with, if you will, the Davos spirit, but seeing it formed in a new way to respond to the particular needs and interests of growth companies. And I think for people who haven't been to a Davos type experience, I mean, the first thing is you learn. You meet extraordinary people who have vision and commitment, and my experience has been you always learn from that kind of person. So being in that kind of environment is just incredibly stimulating. The second thing is you meet people and hear ideas which are of value for the business. And one of the challenges I think you have if you're a senior person, whether it's a chief executive or a chairman in the company, is there's always a risk that you end up at the top of a pyramid and things get past you, but you don't broaden your view. And this gives you a fantastic opportunity to get back into what's driving companies around the world. So those are some of the reasons why I came.
Great. Speaking of risks, what do you see as the major risks for global growth companies in your industry, finance, going forward?
Well, right now, the risk is that they are lending long and funding short, and there's no liquidity. And hopefully by the time we get to the next GGC meeting, some of that heat and light will have dissipated. It's a very, very competitive industry, and new entrants have to remember that, if you will, unlike consumer goods, where you can argue that a new consumer good, an iPod, can work its way into people's budgets without too much effort. It has to display something, but it's not a huge purchase. In financial services, the real challenge, certainly in the consumer industry, is consumers aren't necessarily getting more money to be able to have multiple relationships. They're trying to simplify their lives. On the consumer side, delivering services in the face of intense competition continues to be the challenge, whether you're big or small, although I do think that the smaller company has the opportunity to be very customer focused in a way that big companies sometimes forget how to do, and that's our small company advantage. So I think that's, yeah.
Great. Well, finally, and just one last thing. As a partner of the community of global growth companies, what do you see as the value in Tianjin, or our annual meeting of new champions coming up in September?
Well, I think that there's value in a number of places. I mean, there'll be value for those who've been before to continue the networking, the learning experience, to see new themes, because I think the GGC meetings are going to do the same as the Davos meetings. You will start to see themes coalescing and changing over time. So there's always that sense of renewal. For people who haven't been before, I think GGC is going to be a great opportunity for them to come and participate in this extraordinary melting pot of people and ideas. And actually, when they come, they'll make it better for everyone who's there already, because the network will get bigger and the learning experience will just expand geometrically. So I think it's going to be a fantastic opportunity. China is always an interesting place to go, but this isn't just a Chinese experience. It's worldwide global growth companies, and I think we have a huge amount to learn and contribute to each other, and that will be the heart of the experience.
Why did you join the Forum's community of global growth companies?
Chris, the answer is very simple. Nobody can live in isolation. So when you join a community like this, the basic idea is networking. You meet up with a lot of other people, like-minded people, different-minded people, and especially let's take for instance a Dalian. I was able to meet up with a large number, especially China being hardware-centric. I'm in hardware, and we are manufacturers. And I was able to meet up with people who are in similar kinds of business. Having met with them and having said that, it gave you a perspective how they solve problems as they occur and as you grow. That is the key to the whole situation. And having met with so many people, met with people who run very large companies, China has humongously large factories too, like ours. So you know the problems that occur, now you can share values and ideas, and this has really helped us a lot also.
Now, you mentioned Dalian. Now looking forward to Tianjin, which will be our second annual meeting of the new champions in September. What do you as a GGC partner see as the value in that meeting?
I see a lot of value. It's the follow through from Dalian first, for me at least, as an individual, because we have already created good friends at Dalian, especially of the Chinese community and other communities too. When I meet up with them again, and I'm in touch with on the mail, when I meet up with them again, we practically discuss a lot of things that occur. I mean, like in the meeting this morning itself at Davos today. I shouldn't be talking about that. Let me just explain this to you. A lot of things came out which were, on debate, on discussion, which come out as solutions to problems which others had never thought of.
And also, well, then give us some perspective on what you think should be involved in the program in Tianjin.
Now, that is something, it's a very interesting and very important question. You see, if you get into a mundane program, people lose interest. The basic thing is, let's have a program, which I did say earlier on also, which is of great current interest. I'm just trying to give you 2 or 3 of these. Let's take my view on this. First program I would say is straight away, which is on topmost of everybody's mind, is climate today. Please believe me, I live in a country, I live in New Delhi. I want you to land one day in New Delhi and just in winter and see the pall of, a complete pall of smoke and let's say pollution hanging over it. 1 in 3 children, which didn't happen in my era, has today asthmatic tendencies in New Delhi. It's horrifying. So on climate change, on greening technologies. I mean, yesterday, as I mentioned, there was an amazing thing on greening technologies. Now, this should have been a high-flown, just deep interest people and a limited number of people. There were queues outside, people, individuals who had nothing to do with greening, come in to learn, is there going to be a technology of the future where they can be now deprived of all this pollution, all the problems which are occurring? Second, which is topmost in all our minds, and especially when we are talking about the GCC partners, all these are coming, a large number of them do come from developing countries. So believe me, terrorism is at the top of the mind. And terrorism, I don't per se mean hardcore terrorism as you see suicide bombers or something. I'm talking about cyber terrorism also. I mean, you can get a letter tomorrow morning in an email saying you have got a bomb over here or something like that. How do you deal with situations like this? This is something which you, at that time when such a situation occurs, what happens to the company? A company panics. Even if you, I mean, we have had a situation like that. We didn't panic. But who do you fall back on? The police doesn't know enough about cyber terrorism. Police doesn't know how to track back even. We had to go back to the Indian intelligence community because they know how to track back all the emails, and they were able to track it, and they caught one of our employees who was disgruntled. Now you see, you never know which is true and what is wrong. So, and third, which is very important, is we are global growth companies. As in childhood, when you're growing, there are growth pangs. Now those are things which we would like somebody to mentor through. So companies which are grown large, and you must have seen them grow large, from 500 million to 20 billion today. And I can name a few. Now those companies, the CEOs should be invited so they can talk to us and tell us, how do you transition from all the issues that arise? So similar such situations.
What do you see as a company and as an individual as the value in Tianjin, the annual meeting of the new champions coming up in September?
Well, this is a gathering of people that are defining the future, and it's a place to meet other like-minded people, to learn from them, to form partnerships, and I'm delighted to be a part of that group. And I know that I learn a lot, make a lot of new friends.
And then a more industry-specific question. You're in the software industry.
Yeah.
Just curious, what do you see as being the major risks or challenges for global growth companies in your industry going forward?
The greatest risk is finding the right kinds of people. Our business is growing at high double digits, and recruiting people on a global scale is the single biggest challenge that we face.
Why did you join the community?
First of all, I want to just express my view on that and say that in my strong belief, it was a terrific idea just to create a global growth companies within World Economic Forum. Leading companies from developed countries are expanding their operations to emerging markets, and many times they experience a lack of local knowledge, lack of local culture, and vice versa. The developing countries are emerging, and many companies from emerging markets, from developing countries, just expand their operations and going internationally. And in this sense, they many times experience a lack of know-how, a lack of experience in these markets. And what is good from this perspective with global growth companies, just brings two sides together, and I would say the big guys and small guys just have an opportunity just to sit at the same table and discuss all these problems and discuss perspectives. And as International Bank of Azerbaijan, we're the first bank, having been the biggest financial institution in Caucasus and Central Asia region, we're the first bank who joined the global growth companies, who joined this community. in this sense, I think global growth companies such as World Economic Forum gives a unique opportunity. It's not unlikely the United Nations or World Bank, unique opportunity, just a unique platform to discuss all these problems.
Now, looking forward to the second annual meeting of the new champions in Tianjin in September, what do you as a GGC partner see as the value in that meeting?
You know, as I told, IBA, International Bank of Azerbaijan, the biggest financial institution, we are broadening, we are expanding our operations all over the world, in Europe, in CIS countries, in the Middle East. And of course, having been the world's first oil capital, we strongly believe that only the strong banking, strong infrastructure could turn oil curse into oil blessing. And it's again, it's a good opportunity just to be there in Tianjin, and we have already experienced our president already experienced such things in Dalian, and just to exchange views on the global economy, exchange views on to get know-how, to expand our operations, and we are not only going we are not only looking forward to capital, to investment market for our capital generating by oil and pipelines, we are generating capital in other markets.
Why did you join the community of global growth companies?
我认为这是一个特别好的一个学习的平台，因为整个的世界在变化，国家和国家的这个依赖性呢越来越强。作为一个成长性的企业，通过这个平台能够更多的了解全球的发展，这个包括在金融，包括在环境，包括在企业的发展的策略。我想这样一个平台对许多的成长性的企业，特别是在像中国这样发展中的国家的成长企业，会带来很大的益处。
And then looking forward to our next annual meeting of the new champions taking place in Tianjin in China in September, what do you see as a GGC partner as the value of that meeting?
我想可能很多的人因为中国有很多的企业在高速的成长，他们可能并不是每个企业都能够成为这样一个成员，一个成长性企业的成员。但是这样的一个事件在中国能够产生大量的信息，让许多的中国的企业和中国的普通的市民能够更多的了解，获得一个很好的知识、一些信息。我相信这样的事件在中国整个的经济生活中，也是一个对中国人来讲一个很好的一个事情。
In your opinion, what does having the annual meeting of new champions in China mean to China?
中国已经成为在世界经济发展里面一个很重要的一个国家，而中国呢，更多的在和全世界在融合，而这个融合的过程中，那么让中国人不仅仅要了解自己，更多的要了解外面，要了解外界如何来看待中国。那么中国人自己应该做一些什么？我想，这样的一个 Davos 的一个forum 对所有的。我们中国的企业未来更多的走入这个世界，更好的实施全球化的这样一个过程，是一个很大的帮助，也是一个很好的平台。
Why did you join the community of global growth companies?
GGC は我々日本の成長企業にとってですね、大変素晴らしいアピールする機会だと思いました。特に、この近年10年日本がアピールすることがですね、大変機会が少なくなっております。特に海外において、特にインドだとかチャイナとかそういうふうなところでですね、日本はもっとアピールすべきだなというのが私の考えです。そういう中でユニゾンキャピタルがですね、そういう役割を果たせることができるというのは大変光栄に思っております。
Now, looking forward, I know that you were in Dalian. I'd like to get your perspectives on Tianjin and what you see as a GGC partner, what value you see in the Tianjin meeting, the annual meeting of new champions.
まず次回のですね、天津におけるミーティングの話をする前に、 大連でのですね第1回目のミーティングに関して少しコメントをさせていただきます。私個人としてはこの最初の総会大変な成功だったと思っています。と申しますのは、多くなですね、数の参加者がいたということのみならず、大企業の方々もですね、相当参加したと、私が聞いた報告では約50社の CEO の方がですね参加したというふうに聞いております。この GGC の今後の成功はですね、このインタラクションですね、大企業および我々のような成長企業のこのインタラクションというふうなものがですね非常に重要になっているんではないかなと思います。天津においてはそれがさらに続くというふうに聞いておりますし、またこの GGC というものが持っているそのマンデートというものがですねどういうふうに変わっていくのか、私は個人的にはもっとビジネスフォーカスがあってもいいのかなと思っておりますけど、そこら辺が大変期待しているところでございます。どうもありがとうございました。